Okay, so while Pankaj gets set up with his audio problem and audio set, we will just we have a great audience here today, and I also recognize some names from the last few webinars. I will talk about the sunset of Google Analytics app reporting once again towards the end of the webinar. So if you have more people joining, they can also be updated. Um, so today's session is mostly on mobile app A/B testing, how to conduct it. You should also expect a live A/B testing experiment that Vatsal will launch towards the end of this webinar. So please stay tuned till the very end. I have also sent out a link for all of you to download the application in which you will experience the live A/B testing. I request you to please download the app so that we can all interact and experience the A/B testing together. It will be really fun and insightful. In the while the session is going on, if you have any questions, like I said before, please feel free to type them into the question box in your GoToWebinar control panel. I will take them up towards the end of the presentation, and that's all for me right now. I will hand over the session to Pankaj and Vatsal.
Right. Hi. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Aditi. I hope I'm audible there. Like, if somebody could confirm that the sound is proper and all, so that we can continue with the presentation. All right. So today's topic, as has been communicated earlier, like, so what we want to do is start with the Firebase, how the A/B test can be run in mobile applications using Firebase, and the better thing is without re-downloading the app or from the Firebase itself, if we can make it live, that is going to be fantastic, is what I see. So mainly we'll walk you through the first and foremost. We start with a basic overview. I am sure like we all of us are pretty much aware about the Firebase and the use cases and everything. Uh, but continuing with, or to start with a bit of overview, we will continue with the use cases. So use cases will mainly cover the A/B test or personalization use cases. Then we go with we'll introduce or talk about the feature that we have in Firebase about predictions, like how machine learning is being applied for the Firebase analytics data and how best we can make use of it. And without much or further delay, like we will start the A/B test in action. Yeah. All right. So start with talking about Firebase. So just a smaller introduction.
Before Pankaj does that, as promised, I'm going to run a quick poll to understand what mobile app analytics tool do you guys use. If you could just take this poll quickly, I will run it for the next 30-35 seconds.
Right, so topic.
So yeah.
Yeah, so the poll is, which mobile app analytics tools are we going to use? And the options I see is Firebase, GA native implementation, AppsFlyer, Mixpanel, and Localytics. Okay, and the result seems interesting.
We'll run the poll for 5 more seconds and then I'll share the results. Okay. All right. So as we can see, 45% of our attendees are using Firebase, while 36% are using Google Analytics native implementation, and 18% of them are using Mixpanel. Now, while this is very insightful, I would like to reiterate once again that the mobile app reporting sunset from Google Analytics for the native implementation users, it is very important for you guys. So please do stay tuned. And if you have any questions, please just keep them coming and we'll answer them at the end of the webinar. That's all for me with the poll. Pankaj can carry on with the session now. Thank you so much.
Hi, sorry. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Aditi. So in the poll, I could see like 45% people are using Firebase, if I'm not wrong. Perfect. And 36% people have been using the GA native SDKs for applications. That's good. A good number. Like a lot of people today are already aware about the Firebase. So just a quick intro for other people. Firebase, it's just not just an analytics tool. It's mobile and web application platform developed by Firebase. So we might have been using some of the other features, not for analytics, maybe for authentication or maybe for storage or real-time chat, real-time messaging services or notifications. Uh, I'll just walk you through a quick history of like how it all started, and also Firebase. It started in 2011 by so it was a startup then in Envol, a YC funded startup in 2011. So they started with providing an API for the developers, which enabled them to integrate online chat or live chat in their websites. Uh, that is what like, I mean, they started with, but eventually what they found out is that chat service. So a lot of developers were using the Envol to sync application data such as game state in real time across their users and everything. So in 2012, they decided to separate the chat system and the real time architecture that powered it into two different entities, and that's when they founded Firebase as a separate company. In 2014, Google acquired Firebase. In 2015, Google acquired DivShot to merge it with Firebase team. And since the acquisition, Firebase has been growing inside Google, expanded the services to become a unified platform for mobile developers. Uh, Currently, it integrates with a lot of other features. Some of them being it could be Fabric or Crashlytics. The We have seen a lot of mergers happening and new features being added to Firebase, which actually makes it more of a end-to-end platform which we can use for mobile application developments. Uh, Talking about the trends in the app industry, if I had to go. Uh, So smartphones at the moment, I mean, if we see, it has become kind of an integral part of our lives. The app market, to be specific, has been growing exponentially since last 10 years. And there are like more than 50 billion plus app downloads happening. Technology has changed a lot in last 10 years, and so is the app development. So earlier we used to have like Android app development using Java, Android Studio. Then we started having hybrid apps, then React Native apps, and so on. So the point is, technology is changing, the expectations are changing, the way the things were being communicated, or the way everything that used to happen, basically how you show your news to the end user, or how you showcase your video content to the end user, or the way people purchase e-commerce products on your app is changing dramatically. uh, in case of analytics, to be specific, since the app market is increasing, so are the relevant or the whole ecosystem. So analytics market, like, it is expected to reach 2.8 billion by 2023. This is the analytics market alone I'm talking about, leaving apart the entire app development features or the services that we need. Uh, the major driving factors that we see for this tremendous growth is, first and foremost, the obvious is rapidly increasing use of mobile phones. So there has been huge growth, I would say, in terms of acceptance for smartphones, to be specific, in the entire world, be it developed countries or even the developing countries. Uh, the access to the rich content, availability of faster internet connection at cheaper rates, has kind of enabled the developers to provide very rich content, provide better user experience to end users, which wasn't the case earlier. I mean, like in 2005 or even in 2010, like in India specifically, the kind of internet connection that we used to have is no more the case. So that changed the whole scenario in case of app development when we talk about. The second factor that I see is the growing advertisement. So it is again a bit obvious, like, since the market or the end users have moved to using applications. So just quick quick numbers, if I see for all most of the businesses that we see, almost 60-70% traffic is from mobile applications, as compared to or and the desktop or the tablet is serving 20 to 30%, or in some cases 40%. However, even in case of B2B businesses also, the traffic is moving towards smartphones, or towards the applications. So would be the advertisement. I mean, it makes sense, like to advertise your product, to advertise uh, your business, where people actually are spending time. And if when we compare the usage behaviors, people kind of tend to spend more time. They are engaging more in when they access your businesses from apps as compared to websites. So that makes advertisers to go and target people while they're using apps than websites. So the advertisement industry is pumping up a lot of money in app advertisement. Third factor being the expanding investment in analytics technology. So here it is that there are both the cases. I mean, one is the growth in app industry, and the second one is the growth in or the growth or the change that we observe into data analysis. Machine learning is kind of it has become imperative. The predictive modeling and everything that we do for businesses, and so is the investment into the industry. uh, and this entire activity, when I talked about predictive analytics or using machine learning for the analysis purpose, the whole data science activities, the tracking is the base for that. So the need to record the app-related activities or the user behavior data or the data collection phase, again, is one of the major driving factor for the growth that we see. Last but not the least, the innovation that we have observed in technology and the user experience. So earlier, again, like we started with websites, then mobile applications came into picture. Now it is variable devices that we are observing. The content is getting personalized. So this changes, and the need to have constant innovation or the competitive uh, uh, to have a competitive advantage. Uh, you need to keep on innovating. You need to keep on innovating the way you are communicating, the way you are providing or transferring the things over, or from like supplier to the people who are in demand. So having said that, what we see, like at this moment, I mean, like for last couple of years, uh, the personalization and predictive analytics, if I see, like have become a kind of buzzwords in the industry. Uh, Not just 2 years, but maybe like from last 5 years, and people we have been working a lot when it comes to personalization, or the using all the predictive analytics for making better decisions, for uh, targeting users based on their intent, or maybe allocating the advertisement spend accordingly. So predictive analytics is playing a bigger role over there. And secondly, the rise in recommendation engines have been there since long time. But the rise in chatbots, the use of NLP is on very high growth rate at the moment. Uh, about the personalization, so earlier the flow used to be like, let's say we have some website, we want to develop an app. So what we used to do is like develop the flow, have mockups ready, you develop the app, you release it, and your user starts using it. Uh, and all maybe 1 million plus users that we used to have, they used to see the same screen, same products. There would be a navigation menu, a search bar, and we expect the end users to find the content that they want to consume. Could be video watch, or could be some e-commerce product that they want to buy. But these days, it is not the case. I mean, in the need to minimize the number of steps that people have to take before they finally transact, uh, we have been making a lot of changes to the way user experience has been. So the solution is personalize their experiences. When I say personalize, so we cannot show the same landing page or same screen to both like 65 plus male and like 20-year-old female. The kind of videos that they are going to watch are going to be different. The way or the speed with which they can access the application, is going to be different. So it makes an obvious sense to give or show them a different screens and give them a different experience. So while there is a lot of development effort involved, at the same time the platforms for websites like Google Optimize 360 or for applications Firebase have been quite helpful. Uh, so, uh, so now I mean, let's move on to talking about some of the use cases for how people are using A/B tests or personalizations into for different businesses. Uh, I'll start with first the KPIs that are kind of like that is what we live with. So I believe I mean a lot of people in the audience are like from product management background. So so there are like two areas in which we focus the entire analytics. Like one is marketing analytics, another one being product analytics. So marketing, like you spend the money, you target better people, and then you acquire new users. Uh, but when you have acquired the users to make them transact, to make them watch the video, to make them fill the form and generate the lead, is somewhere product has to play its part and make sure like as we are able to convert as many people as possible. A small change in the application can change the conversion rate drastically. I mean, there are a lot of success stories, one of which we will talk soon. Uh, the reason we are talking about the KPIs is because when we think about the A/B test, it should always start with the end goal. I mean, what is the goal that we are trying to achieve? So for e-commerce companies, the goals are like increasing the transactions, increasing the average order value. For lead generation companies, it is the lead conversion rate or minimizing or decreasing the cost per lead. For publishers, the engagement is more important. Uh, So screen views per session or average session duration or the bounce rate becomes the KPIs or could be the driving KPIs to measure or to understand how the app is performing. Uh, Talking about one of the success story, uh, so Spotify used one of the A/B tests. So they used actually Google Optimize 360 because they were doing it on their website. But what they did is they used both these tools, Optimize 360 and AdWords, to personalize the overall content on their website, and they were able to increase the premium subscription by 24%. So they started with a simple goal as the obvious goal that they wanted to increase a number of premium subscriptions on their website and also to create locally relevant experiences. So Spotify it serves the content globally. So for them, because the content is the let's say the songs that they have been serving or giving so for songs it is like you need to give local experience and at the same time you are competing globally. So for them it was a challenge, like how do we personalize the experience at the same time we become a global brand. So with the goal to increase number of premium subscribers and creating the local relevant experiences, they approach that they took was to use Optimize 360 and AdWords integration. That ways, what they were able to do was to acquire the users, so AdWords for advertisement, and when those users used to land on their website, the landing page was completely personalized using Optimize 360. So this whole approach or the whole experiment resulted in 24% increase in the premium subscriptions for people who are searching for audiobooks on Google, which is a phenomenal. I mean, like the spend on AdWords had been same. Like you spend like let's say 2 CR or $200,000, let's say a month, and with the same spend, there is 24% increase in the return that you are getting, which is really good. And the change that you are observing are by making some of the other small changes in the app. So what we believe is there should always be some or the other A/B test should be happening on in your mobile application or your website continuously. That is uh, something is kind of expected. And but at the same, having said that, another aspect that needs to be kept in mind while running the A/B test is A/B test, like the we use A/B test to make data backed decisions, but at the same time, this A/B test results should be one of the aspect, or one of the part, or one of the uh, factor that you consider while making the decision. Uh, just we should be conscious at the same time that if it is true in your AB experiment, it doesn't mean that it is going to be universally true. What one business did may or may not work for another business. To understand the customer and then taking a call is quite necessary over there, because it may happen that while running the experiment, the audience that was exposed to it may have an animal behavior, and they responded in a different way, which may not be true for the larger traffic, or your larger audience. So so taking those things also into consideration is very necessary, instead of directly blindly trusting what you have seen into a B test report. But at the same time, like if you have some gut feeling based call that I should have this feature, or I need to change have this change in my application, better run an A/B test and get it verified or get it validated before making it live, and have some impact on the conversion rates in your applications. All right. So Aditi, you have a poll, I believe.
Absolutely, Pankaj. Am I audible? Yeah. Okay, so our next poll is just to understand if any of you use prediction or machine learning for taking business decisions. Why this poll is important is that because now Vatsal is going to take you through a very new feature of Firebase, which is on prediction and machine learning. I will keep this poll running for 15 more seconds and we can then proceed with the session. Also, just a reminder before Vatsal starts off with his session, please download the application of the link which I have sent. Just to bump it up on your chat, I will resend the link again from where you can download this app. Vatsal will execute a live A/B testing, which all of us can experience together. Here's the link, and we'll keep the poll running for 5 more seconds. I'm still seeing some answers. Okay, thank you so much for taking the poll. I should I share the results? Maybe they look interesting. Quickly sharing the results so that everybody can see that only 7% of our audience today uses prediction or machine learning. 64% of them are not yet using it, but they plan to. So this further session is going to be very useful for you guys, we promise. And 29% of them have said no for now. All right. Thank you so much for taking the poll. I will let Vatsal take this forward now.
Thank you, Aditi. Hi guys, how are you doing today? Yes. Uh, yeah. One of the guy is asking like, hey, the app is asking for username and password. So you need not have to that username and password. That is the main screen that we will be running an A/B test on, right? So that is fine. So I'll continue with the next coming part, which is a Firebase prediction. And from the poll that Aditi ran, I mean, 64 percentage of user are yet not yet using, but they are planning. I hope that is the resource crunch that might you are facing at your own. Uh, in this scenario, what happens is you have analytics data, but you need to get data at the single place, and you need to build some algorithm to utilize those data and predict certain issues or certain problems and finding a solution for that particular thing. So that is, I think, a resource crunch that we might face while applying a machine learning on our analytics data that is we already have. So Firebase recently, launched a new feature which is very brand new, and which is like we it is a machine learning all applied on your Firebase Analytics data, and it is like out of the box giving by the Firebase or a Google team to us. Like they are providing their machine learning to our analytics data that we are collecting on our Firebase. So basically, after this introduction part, I'll walk you through the UI part of prediction in Firebase. So yes, as I speak, the Google's machine learning is applied on your data. The second part, you can use those predictions. You can create custom segments from your audiences, from your analytics data, and you can use those custom segments in your experiments as well, whether it be UI experiments or it be messaging experiments. Also, if you dig down into further and you need to apply your business algorithm to this prediction, you can export this all data, the prediction data, into a BigQuery as well. All right, so let's go to the Firebase, and I'll walk you to the prediction part. So here is it is the prediction screen available under the growth menu. So at the first moment, if you are going over here, it will ask you to enable the predictions for your application. So very first thing is you need to select your application for enabling the prediction part. So it is under the growth menu, and I'm selecting the prediction. And if I enable it, I instantaneously can see a 4 different segments created inside my prediction, which is very helpful in the case I don't need to uh, do a custom machine learning and apply it on your data, and then you can get the all this thing. So churn, not churn users, spends and not spend users. So all this, apart from all 4 pre-defined segments, you can also create your custom prediction, which is basically you are creating or applying certain segment or filtering on a analytics data. So if I go and create this particular new custom prediction segment, then I can put a name over here. Let's say it's my demo segment, and what it will have, like, will it be in a positive manner or will it be in a negative manner, and I can select any kind of event that is being tracked under my Firebase Analytics. So currently the first open is the only event that I have been tracking inside my this particular application. So I can select this first open and save this particular thing. So what will happen is it will create a new prediction container, and the user, those who will be will be supposed to open or supposed to have this event performed in upcoming period, those users will be part of this particular filter or this particular segment. Certain limitations are there. So very first limitation is to uh, at least your traffic should have a 5k users. So yes, there should be a 5,000 users in your Firebase Analytics. And for starters, like starters app, it won't be like it won't predict the data in certain duration, but after 24 hours it will certainly give you the prediction data altogether. So this is the basic of the predictions part. I'll be moving forward with the A/B testing now, to demonstrate how it will be configured inside from the Firebase, and how you can actually see it in action. So let's go to the second part, which is a Firebase A/B test in the action. So before that, I'll ask Aditi to hand over a link again.
Yeah, guys, are we sure all of you have downloaded the app? If not, here's the link once again. If anyone of you is facing any problem while downloading the app, please let me know. Feel free to let us know, and we'll help you out. So should we wait for some time for people to download the app, or we should just start? We can start, right? All right. Over to you, Vatsal.
All right, guys. So those people who have downloaded and opened the application, you will be seeing one image and two text boxes, and it is just a sign up screen that I've developed, and it is a very basic kind of A/B testing that we are going to perform. And using this A/B test, I mean, you can obviously go ahead and create a use case for depending upon your own application, and you can define your custom layouts or custom configuration that will be using inside your application. So as you know, for those who are not knowing what is A/B testing in Firebase, the A/B testing is nothing but a remote configuration with the help of a Firebase. So as we have inside our optimize, we do have ability to change our web pages instantaneously using JavaScript, and we can do it according to us. But in the case of application, Android application, or whether it be a iOS or hybrid application, this is not the case. I mean, we define our layouts, and we define our experience, user experience, and we put it into our bundle, and then we upload it to our play stores, different play stores, and it accordingly that will be like uh, not dynamic stuff. Somehow it will be certain images, certain text, certain resources will be bundled inside that particular file. But as we have a leverage of a remote config from Firebase, some of you might be using remote config, guys. So it is the base component uh, that you will be having to run an A/B test. So this is the basic configuration. So there is an image you are seeing at the top of the activity, which is for my A/B test. Okay, so first is an image which you can see on the front screen of my application as soon as you start the application. So it is just one activity, one single activity application, and there are certain other things like register button is there, and I'm changing the color of it and the text of it, and there is a join us a text which is basically beneath the image that you are seeing. So let's go with the A/B testing part. So as I go to the A/B testing screen, you can see that there are running experiments I have. So these all are running experiments already inside my application, but these are just for your convenience, how it will be like how it will be available after creating an A/B test. So I'll just quickly go through it. So let's say this is experiment is available for a sign up screen, and as we can see, it is still too risky to declare a leader. So it is just in inside that Firebase A/B testing is giving us, and there are different kind of configurations already we have. And as you can see over here is a improvement overview. We do have a control group, which is a basic default default variation that users will be seeing. So currently 9 users are under my control group, so the nine of them will be seeing the default version. There are two variant inside this particular A/B test. Variant one, variant A, is having a two different users, and wherein pay is having a three different users. So based upon this, the data will fill up. As you can see, my application is not that popular and downloaded and used. So that's why the data is not that populated and not accurate as enough. So let's just go ahead and create one experiment. So as if I create an experiment, so there are two different experiments that I can create. One is a notification experiment and another is a remote config. So notification is just you can do a personalization using a prediction segments that you created, and also if your user is being churned, sorry, user is being churned and you want them to be re-engaged again with your application. So you can send a notification including to lure your user and to attract or give some sell or discount to that particular user. So right now I'm going to use a remote config for demo. So it's just a simple experiment name that you can give. I'm giving experiment name as a live A/B testing, and the description part I can give sign up screen. Next, you can select the targeting the app. So you cannot, if you are having two different application, Android and iOS, under the same project inside your Firebase, then you cannot directly target both of the application with single running experiment. This is the simplest way of understanding your user base. So I can I can select the application that I want to target for this particular A/B test. So I've selected my A/B testing, and I can also target using different condition based upon the version that I have. I can also create a user audiences based upon my events that are being tracked from my Firebase Analytics. What I can do is I can use a prediction also over here, as as I said earlier. I can do A/B testing, and I can target based upon a device language. So device language is also useful when you are having a user base across the India, and you just want to target those users who are whose device language is set to English, not to other any Hindi or Gujarati language. So country in region, but obvious, this is the other thing that you can set and you can have it. So I can simply just select the targeted person, targeted users for this A/B testing. So you can certainly give a percentage of user target user. So it is wise to give it as low as possible, so that if your A/B testing is causing any bug or any issue inside your application, so user will not, all of the user will not go and get frustrated with the application crashes and eventually uninstall your application. So keep it low as much as possible. As of now, I'll be doing this as 100% of user, because I don't have many of the user, and we are doing experiment anyway. So activation event is just a event you want to specify where actual user user does that event, and then experiment will start. So this is the first event. Like, this is again an optional event, you can skip it anyway, but you can put it as a first open as well. So it will be like whenever user opens the application very first time, then the experiment will start, and throughout my experience, throughout the journey of that user, that particular user will be fall under that particular A/B test only. So let's select that first open. And the next thing is a goal. So by default, Firebase APTest will select the daily user engagement, a retention of user between 4 to 7 days, and a crash-free user. So it will automatically giving you additional metrics that you will might be might be interested to have a look after running in this particular experiment. Obviously, you can go ahead and select many different kind of metrics that you want to. So let's select screen views for this particular A/B test. So again, I do have a authority to control to create a control group. So what I can do is I can put up parameters, what parameters I need to include inside this particular A/B testing, and I can put a value for that particular thing. So this is a default value. So I already defined this particular parameter inside my remote config, and it is auto populating a value, default value from that particular remote config settings. So this is the very first experiment that I'm explaining to you. So I'm changing an image file from this particular path to another image. I'll be loading another image for the in the variant A. So let's say a variant A is, let's say I'm loading an image of Firebase remote config. So let's put a URL over here. So let me get that URL first. So here I got an URL for remote config. Okay, so let's put that. So one thing is to keep in mind that this Firebase A/B testing does not provide you to uh, to set a different kind of A/B testing. Like there is a single variant A/B testing. There is a multiple variant A/B testing. So single variant A/B testing is that where you have a single section of your application and that you want to A/B test with. So in the multiple variant A/B test, you will have a different kind of sections. You will be you'll be experimenting with your image as well as you experimenting with your button text and button color and vice versa. So it is wise to keep in mind that configure an A/B test with an simplest approach for which, like let's say I'm configuring image as well as with the button text as well, button color and button text as well. So three different parameters are involved in this experiment, and if results are good, let's say my this particular variant is winning, the variant Firebase is winning, I'll not be in a simple I'll be not be making a decision based upon this whether my image has won the image made win this particular variant, or a button color and button text has attracted user to increase my conversion or increase my the goal that we have set. So I've set the screen view as a goal, which is very not actually an exact goal that we should put over that. But I haven't set up any event for that particular sign up event. So what you can do is you can also push an event which happens on the sign up button click, and you can put an goal for that particular event. So the as many events as you get the variant which the event is happen will be calculated in the matter of this particular decision. So let's just go ahead and see whether this is happening or not. Let's just click on review. So I've just configured a single variant A/B testing, which is very simple A/B test that I'm going to have. So it will give me in brief how it will be going to happen and what are the remote config that I have done. So control group, uh, if it is a no change, then it will take the default value, and if it is a defined value, then that particular value will be provided to the actual key that the remote config will fetch and push inside your application. So what I'm going to do is I'll just start this experiment. Let's go ahead and start. I already started this experiment. I mean, if you open the application, you will be seeing a different image now onwards. If you are not seeing, or if you are already seeing the Tatvik's image, then what you can do is you can just clear your data from going inside your application settings and clear the storage and then run the application. So this is like this process I'm telling you because I've just started that experiment and you are already installed the application and already opened the application. So remote configs are already there. So remote config does have certain caching caching time, so it must be reset before you get another experiment running. So let me go ahead and ask Aditi and Pankaj if they can install or they are seeing any new image inside our application.
Hey
Hey guys.
guys, any of you can see any new image? Maybe you can exit the app, shut down the app, and open it once again.
Okay, meanwhile we check this particular thing. If you have any other questions, please feel free to ask. I mean, it might take certain time as this particular application is just for the developed for demo purpose, and uh, it will have a expiration caching expiration for remote config with half an hour. So maybe it will take a little bit of time.
Also, I think this might be a good time to address the sunset of Google Analytics mobile app reporting once again. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them to us right now. If we have enough questions on this topic, I can rope in one of our experts who's done the research on the same, and he will be able to answer any of your queries that you have. Um, for we have a lot of new users since I first talked about this update from Google Analytics. So I think I will reiterate once again for those who join new and for all of those who were already there when I announced or when I talked about this update. Please let me make sure that you all know that 36% of you since use Google Analytics native implementation. Um, if you have a standard app property and you would have received an email from Google Analytics about the sunset of mobile app reporting from October 2019, although that is 1 year from now, it is important to start preparing and start migrating now. Google Analytics will stop processing hits that are sent through Google Analytics Services SDK. And if you need any help or if you have any queries, please let us know and we'll be able to assist you. We can even help you with the migration to Firebase. We will be releasing an FAQ for this. I will again launch the poll for all those who've joined us after we took the poll. Would you like to receive assistance for Firebase migration and access to the FAQ document? I will start taking the answers. I will start taking questions in the next few minutes. Okay, so time to take questions. Our first question is from Our first question is from Rajiv. He's asking if he needs to release the mobile app again, release an update of the mobile app again after configuring the A/B testing experiment. Vatsal, will you be able to answer this question?
Sure, Aditi. So, Rajiv, this is the like a burning question that all of us as a developer we do query a lot. So, as a Firebase will help you with the configuration part. In let's say I have a remote config over here in the string, and your application is developed in such a way that this particular strings are you are fetching those data, and then you are rendering your layout using this particular values. Then in that particular case you won't be having an issue, you don't have to release an apk for after configuring the experiment. And of course it will be a huge headache to configure entire layout without using XML and only using this particular remote config. So either you can use a JSON format over here, and you can iterate in the code, and then you can render the layout programmatically, and then it is time to just release the app once. And afterwards, that moment, once it is done, you can configure A/B test in Firebase in like endless use cases. You can configure it in with the endless use cases. You can even configure your animations inside your configuration file, and then you can use that particular animations in uh, your application without releasing the application. So but the only headache over here is to have a configuration created over a remote config and utilizing them into your application programmatically rather using external layouts. I hope that answers your questions.
Thank you so much, Vatsal. Rajiv, if you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to write them in. We have Ravi who's asking how do we do a remote config in native app? Vatsal, maybe you can help him out.
So, Ravi, there will be three steps to do this. I'll be happy if we can connect offline to help you with this particular task. But as it is very long steps, there are very long steps to involved into configuring and involving that particular part into our native apps. So basic steps is you can add a parameter over here, like let's say this is a demo parameter, and you can provide a default string over here. Let's say I'm putting it as a uh, uh, taste string, and add parameter. So this particular parameter is created over here. You can publish this particular changes to all over the world. So by that you will be getting that particular thing inside your application. And inside your application, you just need to call package instance, which is mobile Firebase remote config instance, and you can get a string resource by calling a query parameter. So it's way easy, but it is a lengthy process to explain. So it would be great if you can connect or offline to us.
Thank you, Vatsal. Ravi, I hope that answers your question. If you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to write into us. We will also connect with you offline after this webinar, and we can help you out with this. We are actually running out of time, and I have a few more questions, but we shall take question is from Aarti. She's asking, to what extent can I change the UI UX for my mobile app?
So again, the same thing that I have explained earlier to Rajiv. It is like it depends upon the flexibility of your program that you can have. You can leverage your custom remote config. Let's say I've declared a JSON string and I can utilize that to create or render my UI. That at that typical point you can extend your application to have that particular UI UX rendered from, or you can change from the remote config and utilize the A/B testing. I hope that answer is that satisfies your query.
I think it does. Just last question for the today's session is: what if the internet is not connected? Will my experiment work? And what about the experiment report?
So, as if you are not connected to internet, the default strings or default parameters will be served from offline resource. So, while you are configuring an A/B test, you will be storing a default resources in your XML format within your APK or within your IPA file. So the default resources will be served if you are not connected to, if your user is not connected to internet. And then if we speak about experiment report, then but obviously the data will be not sent to Firebase Analytics and it won't be reported eventually. But the thing is, your user will not face any issue if he or she is not connected to internet.
Wow, that's interesting. Thank you so much, Vatsal. Um, should we take one more question, maybe? Just okay, maybe one last question since it's pretty interesting. Can we target users using Google Analytics data just like in Optimize?
Interesting question indeed. So we cannot actually target the Google Analytics data using a Google Analytics data as we can do in Optimize, but it is another way around. So we can track whatever we are tracking inside our Google Analytics. We can track into our Firebase Analytics, and then we can create an audience according to that, based upon that event, and then we can obviously going to target that particular segment just like an Optimize.
Okay, we have a lot of questions. We're still getting some. I will take one more question. Shreya is asking if the page load event will be fired if it is a false negative case.
So Shreya, in case I think it is with respect to prediction, if I'm not wrong. So yes, the page load will be which will load every time whenever a user opens the application. But whenever the prediction happens, then in that particular case, the Google's machine learning algorithm, will predict based upon whether they are going to this particular event is happening or not, will happen or not.
Okay, I think that sounds good, Shreya. If you have a follow-up question, please feel free to write back to us, or you can even leave an email, and we'll get back to you with an answer to your query. So, moving on, we've answered all the questions. We have our next webinar that I would like to announce. We've talked about predictions. This webinar is in line with that. It is on how e-commerce digital businesses, and digital media businesses can power remarketing campaigns with purchase prediction insights. If I launch a poll right now and you take, you let me know if you are interested and you want me to save a spot, it'll save you the entire process of registering on our website, and you will just straight away receive a confirmation email. I will run this poll for the next 15 seconds, and then we can, I think we'll be done with the session after this. Thank you so much for taking the poll, guys. Thank you so much for attending the webinar. I will send out the recording of this session and the presentation to you in the next 2 days.